Hey folks, if you follow me on Instagram, you know how much I cook. I get loads of questions, so I thought I'd make this video showing you how to make ghee, one of my favorite staples. You might be wondering, what is ghee and why use it instead of another fat? Well, let's start with what it is. It's butter that's had all the proteins and milk solids strained out. We think of butter as 100% fat, but in fact it still has some proteins and water in it, which is what burns when you try to cook with it at high temperatures. And that brings us to one of the benefits of ghee. Because we've extracted the proteins, its smoke point, 450 degrees, is much higher than butter, so you can easily use it to cook your favorite ribeye. Another benefit, for those who are sensitive to the milk proteins in butter, ghee should be just fine, though if you're really sensitive, you might have to test it yourself. And the final benefit, ghee is absolutely delicious. So now that we have that background, let's get started. I start with 1 pound of butter. Use salted or unsalted, just remember to adjust your recipes accordingly. I usually use unsalted, so I don't have to worry about how much salt I put on my food later. I add the butter to a small saucepan and turn the flame as low as it can possibly go. On my gas stove, it almost seems like there's no flame at all, but you'll see that's more than enough. I sped up this video so you don't have to sit here for the full 30 minutes it actually takes to make ghee, so if it looks like the butter is melting fast, don't be deceived. Now you can see the milk proteins already separating from the oils. I tasted some once thinking that some deliciousness of butter was being lost, but no. The foam tasted like old milk left out on the counter for a day or two, so don't worry about it, get rid of it. You see the butter is starting to simmer now. I'm skimming the foam so I can see the bottom of the pan. Now, part of what makes ghee so good is the toasting of the milk solids. Part of the solids float to the top, and that's what makes that foam, and then the other part sinks to the bottom and browns, and that's what gives ghee its delicious, nutty, caramel-like taste. I swear to God, it tastes and smells like kettle corn. You have to make sure it doesn't burn, so check it frequently. Now I'm going to skim the foam off with a spoon. This is about the 20-minute mark. Can you see the toasted milk proteins on the bottom of the pan? You can also see what I scooped out into the cast iron pan to the right. Now I'm looking at the bottom of the pan and the milk solids are brown, but they could be a little browner, so I'm going to let this simmer a little longer. Now I use a mesh strainer lined with a paper towel. Some recipes call for cheesecloth, but if you don't have it, don't worry about it. Paper towel is just fine. I imagine a coffee filter would also work. You can see the milk proteins foaming at the top. Now I want you to take a close look at the bottom of the pan. See all that brown, crusty stuff at the bottom? Now this is the milk solids toasted and caramelized. And you can see it's attached to the bottom of the pan. When I scrape the spatula across the bottom, it doesn't take any off. You know you've done things right if the ghee is this golden yellow color. I store mine in a mason jar. Just make sure you let it cool a bit before you pour it in. It's super hot. Also, make sure the jar is clean and completely dry. The ghee can last at least 6 months in the cupboard, but only if you don't introduce moisture or food into the jar. Once it's cooled, it might separate into a thicker, clumpy fat and liquid. This is totally normal. You didn't do anything wrong. There are basically different types of fat in the butter, and they have different temperatures at which they solidify. If you don't like that they separate, put the jar in the refrigerator as soon as you're done making it. If you leave it there for a couple of hours, then take it out and put it back in the cupboard. For some reason, the fats won't separate. I don't know why. Chemistry, magic, I don't know. But all of this is moot, of course, as we move into spring and summer. At my house, ghee stays in liquid form all summer long. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned how to make ghee. Let me know if this recipe works for you, and I will be bringing you more instructional videos for my concoctions, so click the subscribe button and stay tuned.